Hello. It is finally Friday. Where is it? I think I know. Why am I doing this the hard way? There we are. Yes. Success. Good. Hi. You're asking me this already? This soon? We haven't even started the show yet. That is too funny. All right. But hello, Shannon. Hello, Christina. Thank you for joining me. All right. So I had to look and see because I wanted to pull up the website for the American Hospital Association, the AHA Coding Clinic, which, of course, you guys know when I update the description box of the video, I will be putting this in there. So I just wanted to make sure that I got these going before. And then, are we still on this, Ahima? Come on. Y'all need to get it together. There we go. Good. Good. All right, the store. Pull up the store. Okay. All right. Hi, Alani. Hi, Rebecca. Hello. It is on standby right here. Hi, Tangela. Thank you all for joining me. Yes, I have my coffee and I am ready to go. All right. So, since we got a good enough crowd, let's go ahead and get started. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Today, I am going to be talking about continuing education units, a very hot button topic. And I will start off by saying this, disclaimer. There are free continuing education units out there. Yes. However, I'm not going to be talking about them tonight on this episode because of the simple fact that coders still need to be able to, yes, while they're out there, you need to be able to do your research in order to find them. Now, this episode is going to be talking about ways of getting continuing education units and also what they actually mean, continuing education units. So if you are paying for these, the reasons why it's beneficial to pay for them, the smart ways of getting them so that way you are not just throwing your money away, you're actually getting some value out of it. And if you're going to do anything, if you're going to invest anything, you know, some of these might be some good alternatives for you. But yes, there are free ones out there. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about them in specifics, but I will tell you guys to get involved on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great place to find leads for free continuing education units. If that is, you know, what you want to do right now, that is totally fine. People who have a high requirement of CEUs tend to rely on that as well, because I mean, if you have multiple credentials and you know you have a high CEU requirement, it does come in handy because not every employer provides continuing education units either. So that is just something that you should know. But again, we have to look at the free ones responsibly. Okay, always when you're doing continuing education units, while it may be free, you want your time to be valued and you want it to mean something. So again, it's about investing wisely, not just your money but your time. Okay, so let's see. Hi Monica, thank you for joining me. Hi Rebecca, thank you for the blue hearts. Christina at Blue, I posted the link for the CEUs for AAPC. Hi Kathy, thank you for all the blue hearts. Tangela, Blue, I have good news. I got my results and I passed. Yay! Congratulations. That is so awesome. I cannot wait for your journey, and I hope that you keep me updated on your progress as you go into this fascinating world of medical coding. Hi, Renee. Thank you for joining me. There's lots of congratulations. Kathy, no coffee tonight. But I have mine. Oh, thank you, Monica. My orthopedic coder life shirt. One of the nurses at the hospital made these, and she made them for the nurses, for the other nurses. And I happened to see that because it said orthopedic nurse life, and I was like, I want one, but of course with coder on it, And I joked about it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, one of the nurses makes them." I'm like, "Ooh!" So I got her to make me one, and so she's like, "Yeah." So she made it. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" This is like the second or third time I've worn it. I don't typically wear t-shirts. You guys know this. I like to wear my dresses. I love to wear my blouses. I like to dress up when I go to work, even though people will ask me, "Why are you so dressed up?" Why not? But yes, that is my shirt. So yes, thank you. I will have to tell her that everybody liked it. All right. So continuing education units. First, you have to start out by knowing how many you have to report, right? If you are with AHIMA, the American Health Information Management Association, or AAPC, the American Academy of Professional Coders, each one of them has a different CEU requirement for their credentials. And if you have multiple credentials, that goes up. So it really all depends. And you can find that information on either website. So that way you can look and see exactly how many do you need for your reporting period. And again, you have 2 years to gather up all of these continuing education units and report them. Okay, I recommend reporting them as soon as you get them. It is very important because you don't want to wait till the last minute. You never ever want to wait till the last minute to report your CEUs. Yes, while you have time to get them, make sure you get them and report them. If you're having problems reporting them, then contact the association themselves. I've had a couple of glitches where it was a computer thing, and so I was able to get help from AHIMA, and they were like, okay, this is where you got to go, so what you got to do, and everything worked out just fine. So one of the first places that I will mention is getting continuing education units from going to a boot camp or a program, right? So I got the bulk of my CEUs this year. My employer does offer them free every month when we have a coding education. I haven't really needed to get them and use them because I already have what I need already based on what I've done. So with HC Pro, they have their coding boot camps. Now, I will say that if you are going to go invest in a coding boot camp, these are quite costly. They're a little over $1,000 and just over, right? But I got 19.5 CEUs for going through a boot camp for clinical documentation improvement. So that is a lot based on what I need. So it's nice because you knock out a bunch of them right away. And that's one good place to start. So taking a class that's going to give you a lot of CEUs is really great. Of course, attending an in-person conference or attending an in-person seminar where they do grant you CEUs. And the CEUs need to be granted from AHIMA or AAPC. Now, AHIMA does accept AAPC CEUs, so don't worry about that. And wherever you're going is, for example, if you attended a HC Pro boot camp, it does say this is worth this many CEUs for this association, this association, this association. So there's lots of different things, but always make sure that when you're investing in classes that you do something like that. And some people attend conference, and when you attend conference, you can knock out a bunch of continuing education units all in one sitting. And it is worth it, and especially if your employer pays for you to go to a conference or to like a day seminar or something, it's always good because that doesn't come out of your pocket, it comes from the employer. But it is your time because you're getting educated and it's benefiting your facility or benefiting your doctor's office. So whichever way is just very important. So that's where I say investing in something like those kinds of boot camps will help you because it's continually educating you. Going through the HC Pro boot camp, the two of them, I got CEUs for the other one as well. That for the inpatient coding boot camp, I think it was 19 and a half too. It may have been 19 and a half. So I earned quite a bit this year. Just going through those boot camps. So again, I have what I need, and that is what will help me when I'm reporting my continuing education units. It is worth it to pay for continuing education units. There are like I said, there's lots of leads on LinkedIn, and sometimes you will see like bulk CEUs where you can earn just by going to their virtual seminars or whatever. I'm not going to name anybody in particular personally because I did not attend. So I can't recommend something that I have not gone through myself. Okay. When you are a member of the associations, I know for a fact that AHIMA does it, but I have heard that AAPC does it. You do get continuing education units just because you're a member. With AHIMA, if you get the standard package for membership, you get 4 continuing education units as your gift for being a member. If you are a premier member, I think it is 8 that you get. If I remember that correctly, I believe it is 8 that is included in the premier membership. Let's see. Well, I want to, okay, membership. All right. So the professional premier membership. No, I don't want to log into my account. Well, I believe it is 8 that you get as part of your membership. Let's see. Is it there? Yes. Okay. Oh, this was nice. So if you are with AHIMA and you are going through a program where you're in a AHIMA approved program, you can get the student membership. It is $49 a year for the student membership for AHIMA. That is going to give you a 20% discount on their products in their store, like the books and stuff. And it will give you the Journal of AHIMA subscription. I don't think there's any CEUs because this is a student one. So you don't earn CEUs until after you get your certification. Because if you earn them before, those CEUs do not count. So if you're racking up a bunch of them and you haven't gotten certified yet, just keep that in mind. Okay, you can still get the CEUs, but you can't report them because they're not valid for your certification. Okay. Oh, I was right. So the professional, if you are a certified medical coder already, and obviously you're not a student, it is $135 a year for the AHIMA membership. For the professional membership, you get the Journal of AHIMA subscription, a up to 20% discount, and access to 4 continuing education units. So it is part of your package. You will get 4, and you can listen to the seminars and things like that. I have listened to a few of them, and I really enjoy them. The speakers have always been really good as far as I have seen. And for the professional premier membership is $199. You get the Journal of AHIMA subscription, up to 25% discount on their products, and then access worth product access products worth 8 continuing education units. So quite a few more continuing education units, plus you get, access to a little bit more. I think that is great. And that is something that will be helpful for you because you know, that's part of your reporting. But in the AHIMA store, which is what I wanted to bring up, they do have, let's see, I think I'm going to go back. All right, so they have the different products that are available in the AHIMA store. And this is just the list price. So this is the non-member price. If you are wanting to take a class in anatomy and physiology, right? This class happens to be $325 for the list price. There's 10 CEUs that are awarded for this particular class. If you are needing to brush up on anatomy and physiology, this would be good, right? It is a little pricey, yes, $325, but it says this course helps you to achieve the Cancer Registry Management Program prerequisite course required for anatomy and physiology education, master recommended biomedical concepts for completing the AHIMA Basics, Coding Basics online learning program, gain the recommended fundamental knowledge to take the AHIMA Certified Coding Specialist exam and the associate exam, right? Because the CCA. Meet education eligibility requirements for the AHIMA, CCS, or the CCS-P exams. And then the course features included course ebook with enrollment, visually engaging full color illustrations of anatomic structures, physiologic concepts, and disease processes, knowledge testing questions to practice and reinforce key concepts, comprehensive glossary to master commonly used terms, and interactive content, including videos and activities. And then it says, important note, once you complete this transaction, you will be given immediate access to your course for 365 days. So you have a whole year to take this course and then obviously earn your CEUs. But that is quite a while to go through an anatomy and physiology course. From the date of purchase though. So extensions will not be granted at the end of the 365-day term, regardless of what percentage of the course remains unfinished. So once you get it, you have a whole year to complete it, but they say that they do not allow for extensions because they feel that that is plenty enough. In which I have to agree, right? So I believe that comes out to like $32.50 an hour. Yeah. So not too bad because, CEUs can range for 1 hour of CEUs like $25. That's like typical average. And the other one I'm going to talk about is for the AHA Coding Clinic, but I'm going to check these comments. I saw a lot of them come in. All right. So, oh my goodness. Christina says, can you obtain CEUs while looking for work? Absolutely. Once you get your certification, you need to be looking at those continuing education units and getting them. So it doesn't matter if you're not working. Cherie says, hi everyone. I got the results from my CPC exam and I passed. Thank you for all the blue hearts and congratulations, Cherie. That is awesome. Christina, to expand on my question, after you get certified, can you obtain CEUs while looking for work? Yes. And there's lots of congratulations for Cherie. So I got 2 new credential holders tonight. I am so excited. I'm very proud of you guys, and I wish you guys all the best on your journey. And remember, this is just the beginning. Getting into it is the next step, and you're gonna do great. You just have to stick with it. Whatever you do, do not get discouraged. Do not listen to naysayers. Just keep going. Okay. But congratulations and thank you for sharing on my channel. It makes me so happy when I hear people progressing and doing well. It makes me happy. Ellie says, good news that my book arrived today. Yay! Kathy says, I wish my book would get here. So if you are just tuning in or you haven't been with us for the last 2 days, this is the book that they are talking about. So on the 29th, which is Monday, Is it Monday? Yeah. Monday the 29th of November, we are going to be doing a book review about this book. And I will leave the Amazon affiliate link. You do not have to click on the link because you're getting the title here and everything. The Amazon affiliate link in the description box below. Again, you don't have to click on it. But this book is the book that we are all going to be reviewing. I'm going to be in full-on QVC mode. And if you don't know what that means, it's going to be part of the fun. Okay, so this book is only $14 on the Amazon website. So this has over 600 questions, right? 600 plus practice questions for the AAPC CPC exam. Now, the thing is, it's not just for AAPC CPC exam. Remember, the AHIMA exams also cover outpatient coding, right? The CCA, the CCS, and the CCS-P all have outpatient on those tests as well. So this would come in handy. This has those really good questions on the 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 series, plus anesthesia questions, coding guidelines, compliance and regulatory issues, evaluation and management, HCPCS level 2, ICD-10 CM, laboratory and pathology, and medicine and radiology. So all of these questions are really awesome because they have the questions and the answers with the rationale. Again, it's only $14. So we have been very excited about this, and we have all agreed on doing a book review. So if you happen to order this, then you can really be in on the fun. You know, it's going to be fun to watch it anyway, I think, because I've been so excited about it. But going through and looking at these questions, and if there's something that, you know, threw you off, that you didn't understand, or maybe you wanted to kind of review and ask somebody about it, we're all going to be here talking about this very book. So again, $14. And I have been going nuts since I've seen this, because when I was told about it from another viewer, I was like, wow. And then just reviewing some of these things, these soft questions that I have even like kind of started to forget, it is really a good way to kind of remind yourself. Not only that, when I took the CCS exam, which I have a couple more exams coming down the pipe, but when I took the CCS exam, and even when I took the CCS-P exam this year, I worried about knowing enough about the compliance and regulatory sections. I wasn't really worried about the coding part, especially with the outpatient side, because I have the outpatient side coding down. The inpatient side, I went through a boot camp. I was doing my own self-training on the inpatient coding, like the ICD-10 PCS procedure coding. The thing that worried me was that compliance and regulatory, because I can go over things on the CMS website. I can go over things as I come in contact with them, like HIPAA and OIG and things like that. But it doesn't guarantee that I'm going to know enough. And as we all know, with the exam prep books from AHIMA, they are just kind of a practice. It's not really related to what is on the exam exactly. Okay, so I want you guys to know that. I do recommend the AAPC CPC study guide, because I think that it is a fantastic book, and it also has the rationale in it. Now, even if you are taking the AHIMA exam, I still recommend getting the AAPC CPC study guide, because again, it has a lot of really good information. It's got very straightforward rationale, which I think is very important, especially when you are studying. So again, on Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will be reviewing this book in full-on QVC mode. But yes, this is a very awesome book. It is a great study assist, study aid, whatever. It's small, compact, and it can go in your purse or your backpack, wherever, and you can just bring it out whenever you have a chance to, and you can review all of those questions. So just my advice anyway. Lots of congratulations in the chat box. That is awesome. I like to see everyone encouraging each other. Let's see. Cherie, you are welcome. BK, hi BK. Thank you for joining me. Christina, I got mine today. Alani, I just got mine too. Christina says, it's amazing. Elle says, after watching your videos and just saying to not be scared and schedule my exam. I finally took it and passed on my first try. Oh my gosh. The hardest test ever. I cried in my hubby's arms. Thanks, Blue. Oh my goodness. Congratulations. Wow. That is amazing. That's 3 tonight. Oh my gosh. We are on a roll. That is really good. And congratulations to you too. Oh my gosh. And thank you for all the blue hearts. Oh, my heart is so full tonight. That is amazing. I can't wait because you get it now. Like, you get it. You did it. You went through it. You got over that fear. That is just the first hurdle. You got a few more hurdles to go. But the good news is that, you know, you're among people who understand, because again, you're the third person tonight. So this is awesome. I love hearing this. And don't ever lose your ability to be able to study, because even when you get out in the real world, and I had this conversation today with one of my docs, okay? We were talking, and he was saying about how, you know, his colleagues, his other doctors, other surgeons, doctors talking to doctors, said, you know, we have to rely on ourselves to know this stuff. We can't rely on anybody else, which I thought was really sad, because to me, you should be able to rely on your coder. However, I do know that there are coders that kind of get into the position and they kind of get complacent and just not really, oh, everything's going good, everything's going fine. You have to constantly challenge yourself, folks. That means studying, even when you're not taking a test. So that way you can stay on top of this stuff, because it cannot be said enough. We have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. This means the process never ends. It never ends. So while I congratulate the new people who have their certifications today, I encourage you all to stay studying, especially if you're going to go out and looking in the real world for a job. I heard from somebody today, and this absolutely hurt me because they said that they had been looking for a job for 2 years, gave up, got mad, threw the books away, which it was like a knife in my heart. Really? Don't throw the books away. Are you kidding me? At least put them in a box and put them away. Don't throw the books away, because there's a lot of information that stays current in these books that doesn't expire, like the anatomy and things like that. Well, now they actually got a call for a job, and they were given a test. They don't have the manuals anymore. Now what? If this happens to you, the best that you can do is Google your answers. Try to get as close as you possibly can, because you don't have a book. That's the best that you can do. The other thing that you can do is, if they have access to like an encoder, sometimes employers will give you access to an encoder. So that may be another option for you. But guys, don't throw your books away. At least put them away if you don't want to look at them. If you are feeling down and, you know, you feel discouraged, it's okay, but you need to put it away for another day, so that way when you've calmed down, you're not going to throw away something that you're going to need later on. I'm just saying. And then lots of congratulations in the box. Let's see. Ellie says, I make sure never miss that day. Good. Lots of congratulations. I love that. BK, I better stock up on espresso for Monday. Yes. Christina, can't wait. Been looking at them already. Kathy says hilarious, but thank you for all the blue hearts. But yes, congratulations everybody. And Kathy says these exams are not easy. Anyone who passes is amazing. And I mean, even for me, like I said, veteran coder here, and coming out of that CCS exam, that was like a Tyson Holyfield fight. I mean, I'm not even kidding. I don't even remember anymore who won. Tyson or Holyfield. I don't remember anymore. But all I know is I came out of there, I was exhausted. I was literally exhausted. But yeah. BK says that's true. Don't throw the books away. You never know when you need your books. Thank you. Yes. So the other thing that I want to talk about, to circle back to tonight's topic, is oh, that's good. Your medical books from 6 years ago. That is really good. it's always good to have those. Now, I want to call y'all's attention to this, the codingclinicadvisor.com/quizzes. Now, this is the AHA Coding Clinic. If you have access to an encoder, like a 3M encoder, and you see the little stack of books, and you click on that, that's your references and things like that. Well, they'll have the coding clinic. Excuse me. They'll have the coding clinic there. Coding Clinic has quizzes, right, that you can take. It's $25. That's the fee, the processing fee for these quizzes. So you take the quiz related to the Coding Clinic that came out for that quarter. So Coding Clinic releases Coding Clinic 4 times a year. So it's once every quarter, right? And when they do this, they're answering questions that come in. Now, the reason that I want to bring this website to you guys' attention is because if you have a tricky scenario in coding, right, you can submit your question to AHA, right, to the American Hospital Association Coding Clinic Advisor. You can submit it for free. You have to set up an account, but you can submit a question for free. Obviously, there can be no patient information on this. It has to be phrased in like a hypothetical type of situation, all right? So no personally identifiable information on that, nothing. Just ask your question straightforward, and again, give as much to get your question across, basically. So you can submit your question there. If they select your question, then you can see it published in the Coding Clinic, which I think is really awesome. There are a couple of questions that I am thinking of that I want to submit. I just haven't done it yet. But again, this is another place where you can go to get continuing education units. And so I think it's one that gets awarded, one CEU for the $25. I believe that's the way it is. But yeah, so this is another place because you can fill out the quiz, send it in with your payment, and then you will be awarded your CEU if you pass that quiz. So that way, you can, and the quizzes are related to what is in that quarterly coding clinic. So all of the questions that came in, they will have a coding clinic quiz, and it'll be covering the topics that were addressed in that quarter. So another really good thing to do, it is very, very good idea. It is a very good idea to read Coding Clinic, because again, these are the very tricky questions that the experts are answering. So if you ever get stuck in one of those sticky kind of situations, like what do you do? Coding Clinic has lots of answers as it is. And you can reference back on a lot of the coding clinics. And that is how you will gain more knowledge, because in those situations where it's like the book doesn't really have a direct answer, and then somebody that's experienced doesn't really kind of know which way to go. If there's a topic that is similar or related in Coding Clinic, it can help kind of guide you to the correct answer. So that is what you want to look at. You want to make sure that you're reviewing them as they come out every quarter, because it's important part of staying up to date on the latest and greatest. So that is what I would have to say when it comes to looking at what AHA has available. So yes, but I will be leaving this link in the description box when I get done with this video, so that way you guys can check it out. Again, it is free to submit a question, so make it a hypothetical, and that is a really good way to pay your money and earn continuing education units and really learn something at the same time. BK says, I thought I would never need my books from nursing school again, but the books is now coming in handy, now starting to study for medical coding. Good thing I didn't throw the books away. And that is awesome, because when you think about everything that a nurse has to go over, we have to go over a lot of the same thing. Again, but ours is knowing those details and being able to read these complex documents from these surgeons and PAs and nurse practitioners and all these providers. So that is something that you have to make sure that you are covering all your bases. Hi, Jamie. Thank you for all the blue hearts. But yes, so that's what I have for now. Does anybody have any questions? Let's see. Uh-oh, did I move something? Let's see. So if I have to look for other things to get, like other CEUs or whatever, I'm going to be looking at programs that are going to give me a lot, you know, at one time. Again, HC Pro being a little over $1,000 for their course, and getting 19 and a half CEUs. That's a lot of CEUs to be able to knock out all at one time. That's basically like, what is it, 19? Well, I mean, depending on how long you take to complete the course. So, that is something that would be helpful if you're looking at getting a lot of CEUs all at one time. And some people do that. And some people just fill out the quizzes in their association magazines and they get their CEUs that way. I know the AAPC has a lot of opportunities for CEUs. I think attending the meetings, you get those as well. But I'm not really sure because I'm not a member of AAPC, even though I talk about them quite a bit. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. Justin, so Coding Clinic is a resource for people who are continuing coders or new ones. Yes, because even for you new coders, it is a good resource and a good reference for study. Jamie, so glad it's Friday. I am too. Justin, AHIMA gave so many medical coding books. It's like having Encyclopedia Britannica. That is really good. Back in the day, that is. Sherry, Blue. Hold on. Ooh. Sherry says, Blue, does your employer pay for all of this, or is it all out of pocket? So I do have opportunity to earn continuing education units from my employer. We get 1 per month, and we get 11 for the year, 10 to 11 for the year, because there's a couple of months where we don't have a class. So basically like 10. They pay for that. They're the ones who give it to us as part of a benefit of our employment. But not all employers will do that. Some, they say you're on your own. I happen to work for a wonderful hospital, and so that is how I'm able to get access to those. But if I wanted to get additional ones outside of work, or if my my certification required more than what was being given to me in the 2-year period, then I would have to go out and seek others. I did attend the 1 day, what is it? It was an AHIMA, TXHIMA conference. I only attended it for 1 day, so I was able to earn continuing education units when I attended. So that is another way to get, but I had to pay for that out of my pocket. I have always paid for myself to go to conferences, no matter where it was, up until last year, because 2020 I was not going to pay the same thing I would have paid for attending an in-person conference and just being virtual. No way, was not going to do it. So I will wait patiently until AHIMA has theirs in person again, the national conference that is. And again, you can rack up a lot of CEUs when you go to conference, because it is all courses, all classes, all day long. And you are attending like the meetings, obviously, and they're giving you continuing education units for attending those. It's like 1 per class that you're going to. So you can rack up quite a bit. And when you attend conference, you basically have like a little scan badge, and that is how they know that you've been in that class. However, you can't be darting in and out of classes because it won't give you credit. So you have to make sure that when you're in there, you are in there. But yeah, and sometimes some employers will say, we will give you a stipend to get your continuing education units. Whatever you spend it on is your business, but you better make sure that your continuing education unit requirements are met. So there's a lot of leeway there, if you are lucky enough to have that from your employer. But you got to make sure that you get them, because you don't want to have your certification lapsed because you didn't complete your CEU requirements. Oh, well, Blue, I'll get free continuing education units, but you can't always find them, okay? They're out there, but you have to Google for them. And like I said, I didn't want to talk about like specific ones that I know of, because I think sometimes when you make things too easy for folks, it's not appreciated. Not that none of y'all would not appreciate that, but when it's being done, I have seen people who offer these, and I've seen the way that they've gotten treated, and I don't think that that's right. And it's by people that are, either veterans or, brand new coders, and they're like, it's not appreciated. And so for me, it's like, it's a lot of work to go out there and find the research and do the research to who does this and who does that. It is a lot of research. And so when people get taken advantage of, it's hard for me to watch. So that's why I say tonight, I wanted to make sure I made it clear. These were the ones that I was going to talk about that you have to pay for, but it is worth it to invest in time for you. There are some vendors who will give them out, but again, they're talking about their product, or it's going to be geared towards whatever agenda that they're trying to push. So that is something that you have to think about. You want to be neutral, but you want these things to meet the educational requirements as needed by your certification. With AAPC, some of those certifications require specific CEUs that you have to attend. Like I know for sure the CPMA, the Certified Professional Medical Auditor, requires auditing CEUs. So you have to be very specific. And I think for interventional radiology, it is the same way too. If you're specialized in interventional radiology with AAPC, that is another requirement that you have to meet. So how they find that, I have no idea. But I tend to look for, is this approved with AHIMA or AAPC? And so that is where, everything's cool. But if it is a benefit of your employment, take advantage, make sure that you get those, make sure you submit the quiz or whatever requirement that they have for you to be able to get that CEU. So that way you can prove it. Always keep your certificates, okay? When you get awarded a continuing education unit, make sure that you keep those certificates, even if you have to scan them into your own computer or scan them into the cloud or wherever you got to put it, or keep a file. So just in case you get audited, because sometimes you will get audited when you are submitting these. That happens with either association. They can ask at any time to see your proof of your continuing education units. Obviously, if you can't prove those, then you have a problem. So you never want to run into that problem. Always keep your certificates in a folder in one place, and do not forget where you left them. Like I said, sometimes it's just easier if you scan them into the cloud, so that way you don't ever really lose them. But you never know. Let's see. Shannon, is it free to read the coding clinic questions, not take the quiz, but have access to the info? No, I don't think so. Because I don't see it where I can get in and look at it for free. Unless you have access to the encoder, I can look on the encoder and be able to see all of that, because it's there, because I have access to Coding Clinic from my employer. So, Tiana says, I just started the medical billing and coding course program. Well, congratulations. Maximus, I think you do get CEUs from local chapter meetings, but I think it's 1 unit per hour. But don't quote me on that. I think that you're right. I believe that that's right. Monica, Blue, what books do you recommend from Optum for outpatient coding CPC? Like the study, what study, like a study guide, or what are you talking about, Monica? Maximus, I want to go to HealthCon in Washington, D.C. I think that would be a good time. Andrade, I looked on AHIMA's website and searched for CE providers that qualify, because not all CE providers are approved. But even if you have, if you get AAPC CEUs, you can still report those. AHIMA does accept those. Justin, so Blue, you said you used Bootcamp from HC Pro to study for the CCS? Yes, I did. So HC Pro is another website. And they have, and I should probably pull that one up so that I can leave that in the description box. But HC Pro, amazing website. I love them. They have lots of different boot camps, and they start up at all times, I believe. I don't think they start like, I think it's like monthly that they start. When is their boot camps? When? All right, let's see. Okay, products. Maybe it's under products. They are based in Brentwood, Tennessee, which makes sense because I did have to call their customer service. Okay, coding. Is it on there? No? Okay. And then we have their books. Books. Lots of books. I love their books. Oh. All right, so they have their boot camps and they have them all listed, right? So they have the certified coder boot camp for the inpatient online version, right? And they say it's $1,099 for the certified coder boot camp. That's the one I used to study for the CCS. And that one, let's see, they have the different start dates. They look like they start almost every week because their next one is the 7th, then the 21st, then of December, and then January the 12th, 26th, February 9th, February 23rd. So CE credit, and it says AAPC. This program is approved with AAPC for 12 continuing education hours, granting of prior approval in no way constitutes endorsement, blah, blah, blah. This one is a HEMA that this has been approved for 12 continuing education units for use in fulfilling the continuing education requirements from AHEMA. And then it also covers the American Nurses Credentialing Center. That's 14 nursing contact hours is provided. The California Board of Registered Nursing, 16.8 nursing hours. ACTIS, it is approved with them for 14 continuing education units. ACTIS is the Association of Clinical Documentation Improvement Specialists. I don't know why I've been fumbling it lately, guys. But when you go into CDI or Clinical Documentation Improvement, Clinical Documentation Integrity, they are the leader. And that I will say, if you are looking to get the top-notch gold standard credential for CDI, you will want to go through ACTIS. And again, that is the Association of Clinical Documentation Improvement Specialists, or Integrity, if they've updated their name. But yeah, that is what you would want to do. And then, of course, it is also approved. This course is approved with the National Association of Healthcare Revenue Integrity for 14 CEUs. So when you get completed with it, you'll earn that certificate. Like I said, I've done this twice. And the inpatient coder boot camp, I got that. And so again, I was able to meet my continuing education units for what I needed. And that is just one of the boot camps they offer. Let's see what the other ones are. Come on, be nice to me. Go back. Thank you. Go back, I said. And then they had the certified coder boot camp. Okay. And that is like if you're wanting, that's the original online one. And that one is $1,699. Okay. And that is that? Yeah. That is just I think that's just the outpatient side. $1,699, maybe, I don't know. Let's see what it says here. Okay, so the Premier CPC Exam Prep. So for coders, okay, so that's the Certified Coder Bootcamp Original Online. The demand for CPC certified coders has never been higher. If you want to take your career to the next level, oh, here we go with the advertising again. The Certified Coder Bootcamp Original Online will assist in preparing you for AAPC's Certified Professional Coder Exam, CPC exam. So that 1,699 is the total cost for that. And it says it teaches the fundamentals of CPT, ICD-10 CM, and HCPCS Level 2 coding for professional services and hospital outpatient services. The first day covers ICD-10 CM diagnosis coding, and the remaining 4 days are devoted to CPT. Oh, so this is only a 5-day thing. Oh my goodness. Are devoted to CPT and HCPCS Level 2. 2021 includes the major revisions to evaluation and management. Join us to sift through these changes. You will learn how to understand and apply coding principles and guidelines appropriately, navigate the ICD-10 CM, CPT, and HCPCS coding manuals, apply knowledge to achieve success on AAPC CPC exam, and then develop fundamental skills for all medical specialties with a thorough review of the entire CPT manual. Master the art of accurate code assignment for ICD-10 CM, CPT, and HCPCS by learning the latest coding guidelines. Leave class to take the CPC exam. Who should attend? And then it says, whether you are new to the coding world or looking to get back into it, this course is for you. Learn more about the fundamentals as well as all in-depth info about ICD-10 CM codes and HCPCS Level 2 coding. This isn't just any coding course. See the HC Pro difference for yourself. And then it talks about the class size, and this is okay, so it says it gives you 60-day access to video instruction after purchase. So you will get the 2 months. You can take 2 months to learn this, okay? It's not just 5 days. I was like, woo! Maybe that was like the in-person thing that they were talking about. And then like this other one. Maybe. But 60 days to access the video instruction after purchase, view video sessions, and complete all assignments, including review of all answer keys. 24-hour access, video instructions available at any time of the day. You choose what time works for you. And yes, that is what it is. And if you are going back into this, it is worth with AAPC, if you're going to go over it, go back through this. It's 21 continuing education units. ACTIS is 23. AHIMA is 21. And then it goes on with the nurses and stuff. So you will earn quite a few. That's not $1,699. It's actually $1,099 for this one as well. So lots of really good choices. Again, these are 60-day boot camps, and you're going through these. I found that the inpatient one was easier than the one for the CDI. The CDI one was designed by a lady from ACTIS, and so that one was tough. You know, it was. They also have evaluation and management boot camp. They have the professional version. Then they have, let's see, the medical auditing boot camp, and then risk adjustment and coding boot camp. So there's lots of choices here if you're looking to get into these boot camps. Now, obviously, it's just going to prepare you. It is up to you to schedule with the associations your certification exam, so that way you can get into those. So this is a very good website if you're going to look for lots of CEUs to be earned all in one sitting, but you want a continuing education. This is a good place to go. So, Justin, it says, looks expensive, looks like over $1,000. I hope I won't need it. You probably won't, because you're going through AHIMA anyway. I already paid AHIMA like $4,000. So that's why I say you aren't going to need it. BK sales pitch. Gotta love their ads. Yes, they have that ad thing down. If you guys are getting any kind of value out of what I'm telling you today, if you will please hit that like button, so that way YouTube can push this out into the universe so that it gets shared. Please, thank you. Mm. So that would be what I would also suggest, and I will leave the link for HC Pro. Do not take this if you're already in a coding program. This is just for, it's a boot camp. It is if you need that refresher, or if you want to get those continuing education units and you have the money to spend on it, then by all means go ahead. But if you are in a program already, you won't need it. Justin, Blue, is it true, since you took both the CCS and CCS-P, is it true that you know your score the moment you finish? Yes. As soon as I walked out of that room, the results were already on the printer, both times. So unless you're going to be in a beta period, which you would know, and when you sign up for your exam, you'll know. It'll tell you right away. There was a beta period because they were coming out with the new exams at the time. So for the CCS-P, I think that I was thinking about that, and they had that beta period, but then it was out of beta period by the time I went in there. So that was how I knew mine immediately. If you don't, if you're in the beta period when you go, you have to wait until so many people have taken it, and then they'll start releasing the scores. So that is what it is. BK, we always get so much info from all of your awesome videos. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So, but yes, that is the deal with these coding boot camps. And I can recommend HC Pro because I've been through not one, but two of their programs, and I enjoyed it. I looked forward to it when I got started with it. I looked forward to working on it. What I would do is I would come in from work, and that was back when I was pre-filming the show. I wasn't doing lives a lot back then. I was doing some lives, but not consistent like I have been lately. And so when I was doing that, I had pre-filmed already on Sunday. And so the rest of the week was literally coming in from work, taking care of a couple things, and then getting into the program. And then I would do that every other night, so that way I didn't burn myself out. But it was good. It was good. And what I felt like I stumbled on, I went back over, because you can access it again and again. You have your 60 days, but when you complete that final test, it kicks you out. You do not get in there again. But when for the inpatient side, what I struggled the most with understanding was the MSDRGs. And that part was very confusing for me, especially because I'm on the outpatient side. What do I know about MSDRGs? And so I had to learn about how are they calculated and all this stuff and all those good things. And so I reviewed those over and over again, and I looked at the study guides, because they have wonderful study guides with those as well. And so that was what I did, and just re-reviewing what I needed to, when I needed to, and then getting through those quizzes. And it's neat because it's very interactive. It's not where you sit and listen. You actually have to click on the button to get to the next page. So once they're done with their narrative, then they will, then you can just click and go. But that is how they have it set up. But I liked it. I mean, I thought it was really good. It was very valuable. Again, I felt more stronger after I got done with it, because it did explain it very well. The CDI one, though, it was a challenge. And when I went to the Texima conference up in Dallas this year in the spring, woo! And they were there. Actually, HC Pro was there. Their representatives were there at the in the exhibit hall, and I went up to him like a total fan. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta tell you about that online program. He's like, oh, are you taking it too? I was like, yes, I'm taking the inpatient coding boot camp. And I will tell you that the other one, the CDI boot camp, now that one is, I was in it at the time, and I was like, that one is very much a challenge. He goes, that's what we've been hearing. That was the feedback we've been getting. So Tracy says, hi, Blue. I'm late to this. It's been a while, but I will start my new position in professional coding in January. Oh, congratulations. BK, the only thing I wish with those boot camps is to be able to have permanent access to those for the amount. They should be able to give access at least till we take our certifications. But that's what that's what it's preparing you for. So I mean, having the 2 months, is they believe it is sufficient, and you do get access to those study guides too. So those help, and you do get access to different websites as well that would help you to further understand. There was a lot of really good websites I got hooked up on with going through HC Pro. So I was very glad about that. It is value rich. I mean, it's not like it doesn't it leaves you. You still have, like, of course, whatever notes you take and things like that, and then of course your study guides and stuff. So that is something that you it's not like you're leaving with nothing, basically. You're leaving with something. But yeah. And it is quick. It is a quick 2 months, because sometimes by the time I knew it, I was just like, it's over. That was a really fast one. Cherie, I don't want to get too off topic. Have you met this show? But if you had to do your CDI cert all over again, would you do anything differently? So I have actually not gotten my CDI certification just yet. It is in my crosshairs though. But I will say that CDI, clinical documentation improvement, clinical documentation integrity, is a completely different animal. I will say that when I got into the CDI boot camp, it was a lot more advanced than I had anticipated. Like, I know a lot. I can navigate through anything. I could take anything, any kind of coding question that gets thrown at me. And trust me, I have my providers who like to play games with me, and they say, "Oh, I got one that'll stump you," and I go, "Oh, really? Let's give me your best shot." And of course they can't, because I was like, "Oh yeah, that's that." They go, "Yeah, nice try, sir." But with CDI now, CDI, you have to know why things are prescribed. You have to know why they do certain things. You have to be able to look at documentation and be able to decipher, hey, there's a hole here, without having that clinical background. I don't have clinical background. Like, I've never been a nurse. I've never been an LVN or any of those things. Never been a CNA, none of that. So I have no nursing background at all. And having that clinical background is going to be a big help for somebody who does CDI. What I have is years of experience in coding. And so while that gives me a leg up, it also is just like, okay, now I have to meet that other part of the process, which is learning that clinical background side. And that plays a huge part in CDI. You have to have that, absolutely. So that one's going to take more time for me to study and to be able to master, because again, I'm not going just on the AHIMA CDIP, right? I'm going after ACTIS, because ACTIS is the gold standard when it comes to clinical documentation integrity or improvement. They were the ones who started it all, so they are the leader in the industry. When you look at these CDI positions, they are looking for people who have that background and that training from ACTIS, because again, they are the leader. Now, HEMA came along and said, hey, we want to have the CDIP, and that's fine, because again, this is related industry, right? So they're going to have theirs. AAPC has theirs, and AAPC, theirs has not been out very long either. And so that is something that you have to really look at when you're investing in these CDI programs, right? Or in these certifications, rather, because you want to get the one that is going to say what the industry needs. And it is like understanding these credentials, these medical coding credentials, because when you understand which medical coding credential you're going to get, you're going to know where you can apply, right? Whether it's inpatient or outpatient or both, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. BK says, that's the hardest part for me, is learning new information. I lost my balance and cracked my head open. Oh my goodness. So learning new things for me will take a while. So it might take me more than the 60 days for me. Yeah. Then I would think that would probably not be the best for you. If it's going to take you considerable amount of time to be able to pick up on these things. Maybe looking at what AHEMA has to offer, any of those particular coding ones you can look at getting, because you have access for 365 days to those courses. So that might be something a little bit better for you. You can take them one at a time. You can, because it's a la carte, so you don't have to pay for it all in one sitting. So that is maybe something that you can think of it as an alternative. And you can still earn continuing education units if you need them. BK, memory is a challenge for me. So for the boot camps, only having 60 days would be hard. Yeah. Justin, so Blue, is auditing similar to CDIP, or is it more like promotion path for coders? That is a good question. Tracy, I signed on to AAPC. That's awesome. So with the auditing is different from CDI in the fact that with auditors, they're really looking at what codes are you selecting. Not the CDI is not, but let's look at the difference here. So with auditing, you're looking at, okay, the coder selected this, and this is wrong because of this. You selected, let's just say, I'm giving an example. This is the best way for me to do it. An auditor is looking at this chart. The patient had an ORIF for a ankle fracture, right? We all know open internal fixation, that's an ORIF, right? For a fracture. And the coder says, okay, that's Z4789, and then they close it out, they do their 99024, and they're done. The auditor comes along and says, wrong, because even though they are in they had a surgery and they're in a global period, it is never going to be a Z code when it is an injury, right? So that auditor is going to come back and tell that coder, this is wrong. It needs to be the injury code with the 7th character of D, because the part of the auditor's job is to say, okay, this is why, this is the rules. According to the rules in the chapter, it's telling you that when the patient is injured, they need to have that A, D, or S, depending on where they are in their care. But when they're in the subsequent phase of their care, they're in the healing time. That is going to be that 7th digit character of D. So that would be something that the auditor could maybe teach that coder. Now, when it comes to CDI on the other hand, is more where you're communicating with the doctor to say, okay, doctor, we have a hole here. If the CDI is looking at this and saying, okay, the doctor is saying the patient had an ORIF. Patient had an ORIF and they're doing fine. Remove sutures, come back in 5 weeks. Okay, now it's the CDI's opportunity to say, okay, why did this patient have an ORIF? Now the coder should have audited them, and said, yes, we need to query why. Why did they have the ORIF? But the CDI is typically the one that's put in charge of doing that education and saying, okay, why did this patient have an ORIF? And if the provider says, well, they had a fracture, okay, where did they have a fracture? It was an ankle fracture. Okay, was it a bimalleolar fracture? Was it, this is the opportunity for the CDI to say, okay, where is the detail here? They're not going to tell them all these things based on just what they're thinking off the top of their head. They have to use clinical indicators. So if they're looking at the x-rays and all this stuff, and maybe the radiologist is saying a certain thing, and the provider's not saying it, or they're not, we need to find out what actually happened and where is the detail. So the CDI is going to be in charge of that education for the provider. And whereas the auditor, and while an auditor can audit a doctor's notes and their code selections, right? They're mainly working with the coders, and that is the auditing process. Again, doctors can be audited, but it's mainly with the coders. Now, the CDI is going to be working with the provider to find out that detail. They are going to be educating them, what was the location of the fracture? Why do we have this fracture? And again, they're going to be looking for those clinical indicators. I'm just thinking this off the top of my head, so do not hold my feet to the fire. But with those types of situations, that's where they're going to ask, because the goal of the CDI is to be able to get the documentation so that everybody can come up with the same conclusions looking at this documentation. There's not going to be anything that's ambiguous. If the patient is anemic, the provider can be educated by the CDI. What type of anemia do they have? And so that way we can look at clinical indicators as CDI and say, okay, let's work with the detail here, because this detail is missing. We can have we can have a more detailed diagnosis versus a very general diagnosis. When you're looking at a certain population of people, you can see a lot of detail down to the nth degree if the coding is excellent. But you have to be able to get people on board. The CDI is in charge of getting that provider on board. They are also in charge of getting those coders in line too as well, to say, okay, if we have a hole here, what are we looking at? If the coder is having a problem querying the provider a lot, and the CDI steps in and says, okay, there's a problem. We need to talk about like injury diagnosis coding. We need to talk about aftercare. We need to talk about organic conditions, and they would be able to do those types of things. An auditor can do that as well, but again, the auditor is going to be looking at the diagnoses that are selected, and the CDI is going to be looking at filling those holes so that it's more cleaner. The documentation is cleaner, and the codes can be selected a lot more readily because the information is there, if that makes sense. BK, that would be way better. Thank you. Tracy, the boot camps would be overwhelming for me. And they are overwhelming for people who can't have a lot of things thrown at them quickly. This is why I say it's better if you have some knowledge already. And I've said that from the very beginning. You have to have some knowledge before you get into these boot camps, because that's where you're going to have that foothold so that you can start to understand this stuff a lot faster. And it's just meant to be like an accelerated class, essentially. It's not for everybody, but it is just an alternative. And again, if you don't want to go through something as fast as a boot camp, that's okay, because AHIMA has their courses for coding as well on their website. And so you can pay for those a la carte and you can review those, right? And we can go back to that in just a minute. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. BK, I agree with Tracy. Learning the foundation in only 60 days. Cherie, thank you very much for all the CDI info. I spent hours researching it today, and the info you've given is so helpful. Well, that's good. Thank you. I'm so glad it helped. Justin, I get it. So an auditor audits coders. A query asks the doctor what happened so I can code better, but the CDI lectures the provider on how to document better. Yes. That was a perfect synopsis of what I just said. Justin, makes sense. CDI requires a lot more. Lecturing the doctor is serious business, I bet. It is. Because when you are educating providers, you need to bring your A game. If you are not speaking clearly, as far as like, you're speaking like, not using proper English, that kind of thing, that's a problem. If you're writing to them, your writing needs to be superb, because if you are addressing them improperly, that's also going to make you look bad and also not like a good CDI. Just saying. Justin, so Blue, what is the typical promotion opportunity for a medical coder? I bet auditor is one, maybe manager is another. Anything else besides auditing and management? So there's lead coder, lead medical coder. And that would be somebody who does education as well. Education with the coders, education with the providers. Sometimes the lead coder will be somebody that is basically a go-between between management and the other supervisors and that kind of thing. So if they need a representative of the department, sometimes the lead coder can step in as needed. And they're sort of like the right-hand man, or woman, as it were. But yeah, that is what a lead coder can do. And that is generally what it goes. You know, there's a coder, then there's lead, and then there's a supervisor, manager, and then of course you get into the degree programs, and then you have your department heads. So that is basically how it goes. If you're going to get into something as specialized as like CDI, that's going to be branching you off, because you're not going to necessarily fall into that production standards of a coder. You're not going to fall into the requirements of a manager. You're not going to fall into the requirements of a lead coder. But you are still going to be in that realm, but you're going to be off in that little satellite position of coding educator, essentially, and being that contact with the provider. So that is something that that would be like a progression of a coder if they're wanting to do that. Sometimes coders will get in and they will just say, okay, I'm just going to stay right here. All I want to do is just do clinic coding. I don't want to do anything above and beyond. I just want to basically collect my check and go home. There is something about getting so complacent in where you are. You're going to lose a lot of your skill. It's going to scare you anytime something new comes along, and you need to be prepared when you have something new. And yeah, is it overwhelming in the beginning when you're just barely starting brand new? Blue, I don't think I can. Yes, you can. It is a part of our culture. We have to get used to this, because you don't ever want to get to a place where you're just not growing and you're not trying to learn. Learning can reinvigorate your energy for coding. I know that's what happened to me. In 2014, we started our ICD-10 journey. And it was at that time that it started to click for me. I started to realize what was happening. I was getting additional education, which of course I love. I love taking classes. I love learning, but I hadn't done it in so long, in so many years. And then all of a sudden, now I'm taking a class at work. Well, and I also had the opportunity to take another class at home for ICD-10. So I had 2 classes at the same time, and I was earning double the continuing education units that I needed, right? Because what my program, my ICD-10 CM program and PCS program at work was not covering. The one that I was doing at home was covering it. So I was learning at a faster rate because I was doing 2 programs at the same time, and they were very different. But again, what I wasn't learning from my work one, I was learning from the one that I was doing at home, which helped in the learning process for me, because I had, again, double the learning time. And that helped me to learn injury coding a lot faster than the other coders, because they were just like, I have no idea about sequela. I don't know about this A, this D, or this S. And I can sit here and just go, oh, ding, 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 ding. And they're like, how do you know all of this stuff? Going to the other program helped, but I'm just saying. But that is that would be what I would say on that one. Yeah. So Justin says, I think I read that one. Yeah. Christina, so the boot camps are more like refreshers. Yes, they can be looked at that way. Yes. BK, oh yeah, talking with doctors can be hard, especially when the doctors are dead set in their ways. Yes, it would be interesting. It will be one interesting meeting. That's why it's important to know your coding info forwards and backwards, and be able to talk with a physician on their level so they are willing to listen. Yes. Hi, Floor. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the blue hearts. Yes, that is something that is very important, and a lot of people don't take that into consideration either. Sometimes coders will dismiss that. Oh, I don't need to do all that. I don't need to. When you're going to these providers, you need to be professionally dressed. You don't need to be showing up in a t-shirt and jeans. And I have seen coders do this, and I'm like, why do you do this? And I'll be there professionally dressed, and they're in jeans and a t-shirt. Why do you do that? Do you want the provider to take you seriously? Then you need to look the part, because they're not going to be looking at you as an expert. They're going to be looking at you as like, okay, who are you? And how you present yourself to the world is how you will get treated. I have noticed this. This is not something that I'm making up, okay? And so that's just something that you have to pay attention to. It is about how you're presenting yourself, how you're speaking, how you're carrying yourself, because you want these providers to be able to pay attention to you. You can't go to them saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. Can you have?" No, 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 no. If I'm a provider and somebody come, what do you want? I will get very impatient very quickly if somebody does that. Starts with an apology. Why are you apologizing? You didn't do anything wrong. So you want this provider to take you seriously. You want them to know that you are bringing forth your best effort in order to understand what they're saying. Then you need to bring your A game. I have a question. Of course, you're not going to do that like I did, but I have a question. So I see this. I looked this up. I saw this. This means this. This means this. This doesn't make sense. Can you help me out? Oh, okay. Here you go. It is about getting that rapport built and making yourself known. Whenever I have a new provider, I always bring them a little candy bag, right? So I bring them a bottle of water with a bottle that says medical coding with blue. I have the labels, right? And so then I put a little bit of candy in there and I say, "Oh, welcome. I'm glad you're here." I'll bring them a laminated evaluation and management tool. I will bring them a list of all the things that we are going to go over. And this is my contact information, my availability. I am here for you. We need to work together. What questions do you have? And they're like, "Wow, you're the first coder I've met." And I've heard that more than once. And that makes me sad because it's just like, you've been through how many places? Some have been through 2 or 3 places. Still never met a coder. Are all coders like you? Like, no, not all of them. But I try my best. And so I just happen to really love what I do. I can see that. Yes. So it's very true. You know, the energy that you put out, they're going to pick this up. And believe it or not, they're watching everything you do. The times when I've come in and I haven't been myself, I broke my rib a couple of years ago. A few years ago now. I broke my rib, so I wasn't my normal, happy, bubbly self. And they can hear me walking in the hallway because of my high heels, or my cowboy boots will hear them, you know. And they didn't quite hear me because all I heard was shuffling because I broke my rib. You know, when you break your rib, you can't hardly move because you breathe, you're in pain. But I needed to be at work for 2 more days before I was going to be on leave. And so I shuffled through and I was kind of going through this whole thing, you know, like I have this broken rib and I got to be here and I don't feel well, you know. And they're like, "Wow, we know there's something wrong with you. Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Bar fight." And they go, "Blue." And I go, "No, I'm just kidding." I said I broke my rib. And then they're like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." I just, you know, they go, "We're not used to that. We're not used to you not, you know, hey, how you doing? Good morning." Because I was embedded in the clinic on the same hallway as the surgeons. And I was just not. I was just like, "Okay, I'm here." I'm here. And I'm just going to do my work and go home. But they noticed these things. And so when I had healed from my broken rib, they were like, "We're glad you're back, Blue." But it's that energy, you know. And then when the pandemic kicked off and I was at home, those 5 miserable months, they were like, you got to come back. You got to come back. And I was getting emails. "You got to come back. You got to come back. Like, when are you coming back?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." I'm coming back. And I've been back ever since because they're like, it's not the same if you're not here, because they're used to being able to ask me questions and things like that. I've established that relationship with them because they know I'm here for business, and I want to make sure that you're going to get the best for your documentation. So you got to give me good documentation. We got to work together on this. So it's important. Justin, right now I have to say the medical coding books are intimidating. All of the anatomy and healthcare industry stuff was pretty easy to understand, but I wish I had an introductory video on medical coding. The guidelines and codes are scary and confusing. You know, the books can hear you. It's okay. It's okay. I got my new 2022 book today. Now, the books that you do use make a difference. It does matter what books you use, because this is the Optum 360 coding book. This is not an ad for Optum 360, but you all know how much I love Optum 360. Don't make me go into my QVC voice. So this is the 2022 ICD-10 CM book. Now, there are many different publishers, but what I have found and what I trust with Optum 360 Coding is the fact that in the beginning, right, it's giving you all of like the coding guidelines. It talks about the updates. It goes into all of those, what's new for 2022. It gives you a whole section in the front. It also talks about how to use the ICD-10 CM expert for physicians, and it talks about all the things that you need to know. Then it gives you the guidelines, then it gives you the index, and then of course in the back you have the tabular. The great thing about the tabular for Optum 360 is that you have at the beginning of each chapter in the tabular section. Now, of course, my book is all over the place, but you do have these examples. They are examples of codes from this chapter. For each of these chapters, it will give you a scenario and it will give you an example of how these are coded. So it gives you like a visual on what these scenarios would look like as far as like the coding goes. And some of these are like multiple codes. It is not just like one code. Like right here, it talks about a rupture of a cerebral aneurysm caused by malignant hypertension. It gives you the two codes. So it's talking about that, and it'll give you rationale. It gives you an explanation. This one is hypertension and kidney disease with congestive heart failure and stage 2 chronic kidney disease. It gives you all three codes, and then it gives you the explanation. It says combination codes in category I-13 are used to report conditions classifiable to both categories I-11 and I-12. Do not report conditions classifiable to I-11 and I-12 separately. It's telling you to use the combination codes, right? And this says use additional codes to report the type of heart failure and the stage of the CKD. So again, it's giving you a very nice visual of all of the ways and the combinations of these codes. That is why I love Optum 360. I have not heard of another publisher who does this. So Optum 360 also throughout the book, okay? And reading the beginning of these chapters is worth the time, guys, because again, it's giving you the explanation, it's giving you the rationale. But throughout the book, they do have tips, coding tips, and they also have definitions throughout the book. So again, whenever I have tutored somebody and they have another publisher and they don't have the Optum 360 coding book and they have somebody else, they don't see the same things that I see. Now, their book may have some anatomy plates, it may have other tips and things like that, but nothing quite like Optum 360. When it comes to having like a complete, whole, total package, again, I know I'm going to sound like QVC, but that's okay. Friends, I want y'all to have the best tools and support for your coding adventure. Now, when you are working with these books, this is what is going to keep you engaged. Looking at all the things in here is what's going to keep you engaged. Not only that, in the back of this, of course, they have their anatomy plates. I know they do. And they have the appendixes. Now, y'all know how much I love appendixes. But look at these full color illustrations. Look at these. Look at these. Isn't that fantastic? So, I mean, if you ever get stuck on your anatomy, which, hello, we're going to go over this book on the 29th on that Monday. I'm telling you, it's important to know your anatomy. No matter how little you think it is very important. That book is going to help you. But this book will give you the picture, okay? So, again, it is so worth it just to go through the book. The best thing that you can do to combat that feeling of intimidation by these books is to meet them, shake their hand, get to know them. And how do you do that? By opening the book and flipping each and every single page. You don't got to read everything, but what you do have to do is familiarize yourself enough that you've looked through the book, you know what it has there, knowing what the appendixes are all about, what information do they carry. It is so important. And you know, when I've done these book reviews for anything, and people tell me, well, I didn't know that was back there. It is just a simple matter of opening the book. The book already has the answers, folks. It has the answers. You just have to learn how to use it. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, I missed a lot. BK says, I had a doctor that do that to me. I was in the hospital for a port insert. There was this guy that walked in my room in a t-shirt, shorts, and slippers. I thought he was there to clean my room. I told him, thank you for coming to clean my room. He said, I'm not here to clean your room. I'm here to do your surgery. I'm a doctor. Oops. Oh, okay. The more you go through and practice the coding guidelines, the easier it will become. Yes, mine are being ordered. BK, the Optum 360 coding books will be your new best friend. Yes. Christina, once I have to get my new books, I'm going back to Optum 360 for mine. BK, the nurses were all laughing at me. They said that's too funny and that you called him a janitor. Well, I mean, hello. Tracy, LOL. Justin, so it sounds like Optum 360 is the best book to use after you finish the plan. Yes. Barkeisha, LOL. Cherie, oh my God. That's awesome. How much did it cost, Blue? This one. So if you go on Optum360coding.com right now, they have best deals. So for the 2022 versions, they are 50% off. If you get the 2021 versions, they're 80% off. So this is 50% off right now. I think it's like $56 right now for this book. So if you're going to get books, I'm just saying, got to go to Optum360coding.com. You know, go to that middle tab where it says best deals. You click on that, best deals, and that's how you get going from there. You do have to sign up for like a healthcare ID or whatever, but that's just so that you can sign into the website. There's not a charge for that. So for that healthcare ID. Christina, the best appendix they have is coding for long-term things, which I just discovered. Justin, Blue, if you're a coder working at a hospital, does the health insurance require you to go to the hospital you work for? And if so, can you code your own medical visits? No, you cannot. You cannot code yourself. You cannot code any of your family members. You can't do that. It has to be somebody else. And sometimes no. I mean, it depends on what plan you have. If you have a commercial insurance that is taken by other doctors in your area, then you can go to those other places. But no, you don't have to go to your own hospital. BK, Optum 360 has sales right now, 50% off. That's a deal. Yes. Flor, I will try that out. So just so you guys know. But yes, very good deal, awesome deal, and that is the best. So I got this today, and I wanted to go ahead and show you guys. It is the best time to get books. Justin, good to know you can't code your own things. I figured that was the case, but it's hard to know the rules. That's just an ethics thing. You'll learn that when you learn ethics. Excuse me. Even in the hospital, they will tell you you cannot look up your own charts. You cannot print your own lab results. Even if you're a patient there, you have to go through the whole thing just like everybody else. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me because I just hit that little, my phone needs to be charged already. So I'm at 15%. That's about the ethics. Yes. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But this has been another lively discussion. And if you get your book, remember to go over it, review it, flag your favorite question that you want to review for Monday, November 29th, our review of this book. I'm so excited about it. Very QVC-esque show it will be. I will have on the, the 4 necklaces and the 7 bracelets. Because that's what they do when they're on QVC, because they are telling you about things that you did not realize that you were going to need. But now that you know it, you have to have it. Just like this book. But again, this was not even supposed to be an ad. When we first started talking about this week, this was not even supposed to be talking about this book in particular. But because it has so many good questions in it, and it's such a good resource. And not just for one certification exam, but for any of the medical coding certification exams. These are the types of books that you want to find. And something is so convenient as this, I'm just saying. It's not an ad, but you know, it's a good resource out there. So I'm going to flag the whole book, BK. You're welcome, Cherie. Thank you for the blue heart. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe already, I hope that you do. I hope that you all have a great weekend, and I will see y'all back on Monday. Monday, there will only be 3 shows next week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. All right. Thursday and Friday, everybody's going to be Turkey Day, so I figured that would be a good time to take time off from the show. So Thursday, Friday, no show next week. But then we will be back on Monday for our QVC esque book review. Let's see. BK, thank you, Blue. Good night. Have a great night. You too. Justin, that pink exam book looks like what I'm gonna buy in a month before the big day. Shannon, thank you, Blue. Have a great weekend. You too. Thank you for the blue hearts. Maximus, thanks, Blue. Wishing you a beautiful and relaxing weekend. And you too. Floor, have a good night as well. And then BK, Justin, I would get it as soon as possible. It's never too early to start learning. Yes, that is very true. Have a great weekend. You too, Christina. And you might be right, BK. BK is right. Okay, I'm just saying. So have a good night, guys. I will see y'all next time. Bye.